In this video, I'll be diving a little deeper into the physical environment external to the headset, so let's go ahead and get started. As I've mentioned in my Medium blog article, Physical Factors, Real Environment, it's important to keep in mind that the real physical environment still impacts the experience you're creating within the headset. These environmental factors can either enhance immersion or distract from your experience. So although we can't always control the environment, we need to be sure to design with the physical environment of the consumer or the target audience in mind. Let's break down some of the most common scenarios you'll come across, starting with limited space. In some cases, your XR solution may need to be used in a limited space such as an office desk or a crowded convention floor. Or sometimes your target audience may be confined with limited mobility, such as during chemotherapy or another medical environment. In this case, people aren't going to be able to move their heads as far or turn around a lot like they would if they were standing in an open space. So it's all the more important to make sure interaction elements such as the user interface and other important information is within easy reach and within the head comfort zones. I've included links to that video and article covering head comfort zones in the show notes so you can learn more. You may also want to include options for sitting or standing so that elements can adjust even more for people who are seated or lying down for medical treatment or recovery. Actually, it's better to provide this as an option anyway, if at all possible, since any kind of a mobility impairment, whether temporary or permanent, shouldn't hinder people from being able to enjoy your XR experience. Noisy environments can make it difficult to hear or concentrate, so include multiple methods of communication, such as audio, visual, and haptics, and allow the user to progress the information on their own time, instead of auto-progressing for them. And sometimes the opposite is true, and you may need to ensure the solution you're creating supports quiet environments where voice commands or loud sound effects would be disruptive. In this case, think of alternative types of input and feedback to keep people engaged and immersed in the experience. For example, you'll want to think about what the experience would be like if they can't hear audio at all. Maybe the headset doesn't have headphones, so they need to turn the volume all the way down. Or maybe they're one of the millions of people in the US alone who have a hearing impairment. This again re-emphasizes the need to include haptic and visual cues in addition to audio in order to communicate important information. And finally, you'll also want to keep in mind physical hazards within the play space. You might consider including a message at the beginning of the experience that reminds them to clear their play space. No, it's not our responsibility to make sure everyone stays safe, but we can remind them of the hazard. This is especially important for new users. So for a quick recap, be sure to understand the physical setting of the final installation location prior to designing the experience. Make it a topic of conversation during requirements gathering for the project. Be sure to keep important elements such as UI and key interactions within easy reach. Be sure to let people progress the information and experience on their own so they don't miss anything important in case of external distractions. Be sure to include a combination of audio, haptic, and visual cues in order to communicate important information. Consider giving settings options for sitting, lying, or standing. Also consider adding a safety reminder at the beginning of your experience. Don't design experiences that require a lot of unnecessary movements in a setting where the user has restricted space to move safely. And don't rely solely on sound, such as audible instructions, as a method of communicating important information.